Hello and welcome, everyone. It's time for another exciting episode of IT Career in Australia channel. And tonight's topic is live tech resume reviews and feedback. So today we're offering complimentary live resume reviews and feedback session. So thank you everyone who sent us their resume in advance. So if you're watching live, so you probably will enjoy to see the real resumes with the real feedback. And you will also have opportunity to send your resumes for the next one. So obviously stay tuned and see what's happening on this channel. So thank you so much. Obviously, finding some time to join us this evening. Please don't forget to introduce yourselves in the comments. Let us know what you do and join our conversations with your questions and comments. Or at least say hi in the comments so that we know that you're here, you're watching, you're with us. And I'm Jana Martins, if you forgot. Obviously, that's IT Career in Australia is my YouTube channel where I share different latest funding and insights with you about tech career in Australia. Tonight, again, live tech resumes reviews. And before I pass it on to Johnathan to run those ones for you tonight, I'm just quickly remind you that we're streaming live as usual on YouTube and LinkedIn. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got over 1,000 subscribers, really excited. So let's keep it going. And don't forget to join my meetup group, IT Career in Australia as well, because we also have some exciting face-to-face events. We do catch up in Albert Park and Lake for some tech walking. So if you're tired of staring at the computer, that's your chance to meet real people in real life and have some fun as well. So that's probably enough of me. Also, please don't be shy. Ask as many questions as you like on any platform. Always remember that we have some giveaways at the end. And also use this live stream as the opportunity not only to get new information, but to network with people in the industry. James is saying hi. Hi, Jana. Hi, Johnathan. Tech walking is awesome. Thank you, James. James has been in the last few. Great to see you here. So guys, don't be shy. Say hi. And I'm passing on to Johnathan to introduce himself, please.
Thanks very much, Jana. Hi, everybody. My name is Johnathan Maltby. I am a career coach and mentor. And over the last decade, I've been helping people consciously and strategically design their career for greater fulfillment and purpose. One of the things I love helping people do is getting rid of all of the noise that's in their head, helping them declutter so that they can get absolute clarity on themselves as professionals in their field, clarity of their purpose, and clarity of their career path. I help people translate their career goals into strategies and roadmaps as well. My background, I used to be a tech recruiter. So you can see I used to read a lot of CVs. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly as well. And my job tonight is to help you avoid all of the common pitfalls that people experience when they send their CV, so that your CV can sit on the top of the pile and can get noticed and hopefully drive action. Yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Also, it's always good to have this hands-on experience so you can talk about from that perspective. Harris is saying hi. Thank you, Harris, for saying hi. Kevin's here. Hello, everyone. Thank you, guys, for saying hi in the comments.
Hello, James.
And okay, so Muhammad's here as well. Thank you so much for saying hi. And okay, let's just dive into it. So we have, guys, you did send me a lot of resumes. We'll try to go through all of them. If by any chance we won't be able to go through all of them, as I said, it will be another session in a few weeks. So stay with us. We're going to try to move quickly. So we'll dive into it straight away. So I will be showing some resumes on the screen. I'm going to give my little feedback as a first impression. So here we go. If I would receive this resume, what would be my first impression, thoughts that come in my mind, and then I will be asking Johnathan to give us more in-depth overview. Okay, let's do it. Here's the first resume we have. So guys, if we have a bit of a blank, it's just because I did delete personal details from a lot of resumes just for the private privacy purpose. So just if you see blanks, don't judge. Okay, but anyway, so if I would receive this resume myself, I think my first question would be kind of like, what's this person doing? Like, yes, you can see it's a software developer here, but I think I just want it big and clear, right in the top. So I know what sort of position the person applying and easy to read. And probably the second question I would straight away ask by looking here, remote in Chile and then Australia, like, is this person here? Is this person still overseas? Are they moved here? So are they, what's the situation? I probably would want to have something here to clarify straight away, like permanent residency or working visa or something like that. That would be probably my first impression. Johnathan, what do you see straight away?
Yeah, the first thing I see is it says Australia. Okay, for me, I want to know where in Australia are you. You don't have to put your full address down, but I would say put at least a suburb or at least a state or city that you're in. I think the first thing that I'm looking for that's definitely glaringly, obviously, that's missing is a little bit about you. That first section is really, really critical. This person's dived right into the experience, but hasn't kind of set the stage. So I don't know what this person is all about. And that's why having that about section at the very beginning of a CV is really, really important. Your first third of a page on any CV is what I call the sweet spot. And it's missing the key branding aspects. The other thing I noticed, just hang on there, scroll down a bit, is they've put their skills right at the bottom. As a software developer, the first thing I want to know is, do you have the tools that are in relation to the job? So I would move that skill section right up to the top and put it underneath your kind of about me section or your personal summary section, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's just dive to the next one.
Okay.
If we want to come back and get a few more, but I'm sure there will be a lot of examples as we're moving through.
Sure.
So next resume. So again, my first question is, again, like, I need to look for that first title. So again, like, I just would like to have the senior software engineer written down right here. So, but it has all the visa status here. So just I don't know if again, it will be really subjective. I don't know if I do like to have a separate column here. I'm not sure if it's make it a little bit harder to read or easier. So I think it's, yeah, it is subjective, but it could be a little bit destructive for me to read in the two columns. So probably just easier to read when it's all in one thing. But Johnathan, what do you think?
The first thing I look at the CV and I look at it and I go, oh, I like the fonts they've used. It's really nicely kind of, from an aesthetic perspective, I say this is something nice. I like looking at this particular CV. It's nice fonts. They've got a little bit of design elements in there. That's really, really good. The only thing that I find difficult about a CV that is separated, exactly what you said, into two columns, is it breaks the continuity of reading. Whilst it looks good, it can be a pain to read, because when we scan a CV as a recruiter, we go left to right very, very quickly. But if you've broken it up into columns, you're making our brains work harder, going, well, this stops here and then I've got to do this part here. You're making me work. The problem with a two-column system is that people have to squash information to fit into that smaller column on the right-hand side. And that often means that they're trying to fit their information to a pre-existing template. And I know a lot of people tend to go, well, I couldn't fit it in, so I didn't put it on my CV, especially when talking about some of their skills. But what I do like about this one, I like it that they've, at the beginning, they said in the summary section, hey, I'm an experienced software engineer with 6 years in mobile web and back end. I think that's a great opening sentence. It tells me who you are. It tells me what you do. It tells me how long you've been doing it. So that's really, really good. I really liked that part. I like it that they've got the visa category on that, and the fact that they said sponsorship not required. man, that just makes a big difference. That makes your
Make it
pathway
easier, yes. Not every
yeah,
hiring manager know all the visa types. Yes,
exactly.
people put the number of the subclass, but some hiring managers maybe never deal with that. So yeah, it's
Yes.
probably the great point, actually mentioning that sponsorship required or not.
Nice touch. Yeah, nice touch. The only if you scroll down a bit, let's have a look. I like it that they put the projects at the top and the links in there. I haven't seen someone do that and spread it out like that at the top. I like that, to be perfectly honest. I think that's a little bit different. I always like different. I like it that they've used a gray font instead of a black font, which makes it nice. It just makes it pop a little bit more from an aesthetic. They've used arrows instead of the boring bullet points, so that another point there for a nice layout. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Scroll down. Let's go have a look at the bottom. They've got a lot of good information in there. Even rights to work in Australia being put at the end there. That's great. From first impressions, this actually looks like quite a good CV. And by the way, CVs are subjective. One person could look at a CV and go, amazing, love it. And the another person could look at it and CV and go, what the heck are you thinking? As I always say, CVs are like art. In the world of art, they say everybody's a critic. And the same when it comes to reviewing CVs as well. But I think this one looks pretty good. Yeah.
I think also when you're applying, when it's you don't have experience in Australia, so your last job is overseas, maybe it's worth to give a bit more description of what company is actually doing. Because obviously, like if your whole career been in Australia and you work in NAB, NZ, and Commonwealth Bank, so it's sort of just obvious. Everyone has this impression that that's companies that everyone knows. But when you're coming from overseas, it could be maybe this is some amazing company in Germany, but no one ever heard about it here. So maybe just having a little bit description here, what this company is about. Yeah. So again, at least this one maybe has a bit of a gaming. So, I know it's about gaming, but this company, if I look at it quickly, I no idea what this company is doing. But then I guess I can see like it's a web shop,
Yes,
a little bit, but just maybe a little bit more about the company itself. I would feel like, just because to explain it to the different market.
I 100% agree with you. And even with Australian companies, if you've worked for a company that maybe is not so well known, I always say put a little blurb, and you can just get this from the About Us section on the company's website. Just as long as they say, hey, this is who the company is, this is what they do. And the reason for that is it gives context of where you have worked. Was it a large organization, or was it a small boutique little place with like 4 or 5 people? This gives us a little bit of an insight in the type of environment that you've been working with. So definitely put some sort of description. Now, as you said, Jana, if you've worked for some of the big well-known companies in Australia, then you don't have to put that in. But even especially if you're from overseas and people don't know that, I would put a short 1 to 2 lines max, just to give context.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Let's click to the next one. Okay. So we have another software engineering resume here, and yes, I do like that. It's nice and clear. Software engineer. That's what I was talking about. That it's easy to see the role, and obviously the summary, the technical skills, experience. I always, again, my subjective opinion, I do like that it's a little second color in the resume. So when you just suddenly use a bit of a blue, so to separate the sections. Again, guys, I know it's all subjective, but it does make the difference. And the recruiter reading millions of resumes, and they just want to read something easily and pick up on the main points they're looking for. Yep. Johnathan, over to you.
Yeah, I liked this one because it's got all the key details. I like it that they've even got a website link. They've got a personal website. That's amazing. If you're a software developer, always have a GitHub account. Always have one with up-to-date README files especially. Because I know a lot of dev managers, when they're looking at the CVs, some won't even look at a CV that hasn't got a link to a GitHub account. If you're in software dev, always have evidence of some of the code that you've done. Even if it's just personal projects, especially if you're a junior, very, very vital that you might not have much kind of commercial experience, maybe if you're just entering the workforce, but there's no reason not to have some sort of repositories up there of code. Personal projects that you've worked on, things that you've built. I think hiring managers want to see progression of how you have got better. So think of your GitHub account as a little bit of a journey of how you have progressed in your software development. So this person, John Smith, really good that they've got that there. The only thing I'm confused about with this particular person's CV is that they've said they're a software engineer. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. But then they tell me they're an accountant. And I know that this person is changing jobs, but suddenly you've confused me. Well, what are you? You know, it might pay to go, hey, I'm a junior software engineer, passion for XYZ, and I've changed career. I am a career changer. And then tell us why. You know, we want to know a little bit of a backstory. Why did you decide to change from, you know, being a qualified chartered accountant of all things? What made you decide to make the change? Because I think a lot of hiring managers don't just want to hire just a software code monkey at the end of the day. What they want is someone who's passionate about the industry, especially people who have changed career. Like, tell me a little bit about the story about that, because that gives me an insight into the person behind the CV as well. Good thing about this is that they've listed their technologies underneath that. So in terms of order, this CV is really good in terms of logical order. Always start off with your summary, then dive into your technical skills, and then dive into your experience, definitely. Oh, look, they've even talked about their projects underneath that.
I almost move the projects above, to be honest. You know, and then put your experience as an accountant. So again, like, so yeah, obviously, like, there's a transition here from accounting, and maybe here, instead of saying experience in accounting, maybe I'm interested in the fintech companies. I'm particularly passionate to work in a fintech company, as I have extensive experience in accounting, or make that sort of link.
Yes.
Obviously, depends what job you're applying for, but you can put like the application more strongly maybe to fintech company, because you understand that payment life cycle and other things that could be really, really not easy when you when you want to transition to fintech. And yeah, so when we're talking about the projects, yeah, maybe move the projects.
Yeah, just for continuity.
Tax accountant, you know, the experience, the relevant experience higher.
Yeah, this is actually a really nicely laid out CV. I like the font that they've used. And I like, you know what I like about this one? It says that the last thing, it says, I'm also dedicated to continuous growth and expanding my skill by learning TypeScript. The fact that that person has said, I can see this passion coming through. The fact that this person is not just doing it for a job. This person has consciously made a decision to change over and do something different with their careers. And they've got that mindset of learning. And that's why they're even telling me what they're learning about. So I can get a bit of an insight into what drives this person, which I think is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just sort of also thought about that project thing, because if you're reading this resume and it says over 5 years experience in accounting, so it's not really, it's almost like blend in, is it like over 5 years experience in software engineering?
Yes, that was a bit ambiguous, yeah.
And then like, oh, but this person only been doing software engineering for, you know, whatever, like a few months here. So yeah, so it can confuse. So it's need just a little bit, the story need to be flow a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
The project's a bit higher.
Agreed.
Okay, I think we have another sort of junior resume here. So obviously it's supposed to be name, guys. Don't get scared of the question marks. I feel like it was, yeah, okay. So I think I'm just kind of trying to formalize my first impression. I do see that it's a web developer. I don't know if I want a proactive here. I feel like it's almost like throw me off that word proactive. I kind of start feeling like, do I don't know something about web development?
Yeah, that one threw me as well. It's like, well, what does that actually mean, proactive web developer? It's a little bit ambiguous. I don't think that needs to be said. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like just, yes, a really clear, like the web developer. And
Yes.
I don't know, maybe I would move the visa permanent residency somewhere here.
Yeah.
So it's not in those like bullet points as well. So it's not like the first thing I see here, and it's more somewhere in the details instead.
You're right. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yep. So Johnathan, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I see this person has used a bullet form of talking the about and summary section. I would use paragraphs. This is your chance to sell yourself as a story. This first part is probably the most critical part of a CV. The first third of that page, because that is where your brand comes through. This is where you get to tell your story. You make a compelling offer. You connect with your reader. A lot of people don't realize the importance of this. Look, as I said, there's many right ways to do a CV, and it's not wrong to have it as in a bullet form, but I would prefer to see it as more of a story of a paragraph.
Like a
Or
paragraph.
two paragraphs.
Yes.
I say the sweet spot is like 2 paragraphs, maybe even 4 to 5 lines per paragraph. Tell your story. Tell a little bit about what drives you, what motivates you. Why did you get into this? A little bit about the breadth of your experience, the type of environments maybe that you've been exposed to or worked in, or some of the projects. You don't have to describe the projects, but just the nature of the projects that you've been involved in, for example. So I would start off with this particular person was, I'm a full stack developer focused on front end. Yeah, but if you're that's a little bit ambiguous as well. Like, which space do you want to play in? Do you want to be a full stack developer, or do you want to be a front end? Be what the job needs you to be. So, I don't know. That's just a kind of a personal preference. If they're looking for a front end developer, be a front end developer. But right now you're saying I'm this, but I'm also this. So full stack is fine. But then you said front end. Maybe just call yourself a front end developer. But you have experience across the stack. Yeah,
it depends on obviously the job. So, and here again, so you would change the title here. It depends what role you're applying. So if you think like if you're applying for like front end developer role, just put the front end developer here. If you're applying for full stack, just pull the full stack developer here, and change the words when you need to. Depends on position.
One of the things that I find really connects with people, and a lot of people, this is where I think a lot of people make the crucial mistake. In Australia, the way that we talk, and for people who've come from overseas, they may quickly realize is that we're not that formal in Australia when it comes to a lot of things. We tend to be a little bit more laid back. I say the best way to connect with somebody in your CV is to write like you talk. I mean, still be professional, still use professional language, but what a lot of times people tend to do, if they especially come from overseas, they use a language of such high formality that we don't usually talk that way in Australia. And I'm not saying use the word mate in your and all those kind of typical Aussie slang in your summary. But imagine if we were just sitting having a chat and go, tell me a little bit about yourself. If you use a conversational tone, I think it creates more of a connection with your audience. So read your profile aloud and going, does this sound like me? Would I usually talk like this? Or would I usually just talk in a more conversational tone as I describe myself? For me, I find I can connect with people better if they just write like you talk more than anything else.
I do agree. So obviously there could be some hiring managers there who wants to see that super formal, and depends what position you're applying, of course. Like if you're going for CEO role, maybe you need to be a bit more formal. But I think in majority of cases, yes, make it easy for people to understand and read what it's about. Because if it's some a complicated sentence about your experience, and then people don't even understand what that sentence even mean.
Yeah.
But it just sounds fancy. So
Yeah.
not all this work. Okay.
Okay.
So we have technical personal projects, personal tech blog, website,
Oh, good.
and
Yep.
some experience. And I think it does make sense. So if you're swapping career, just sort of mentioning a little bit at the end, but really trying to focus on those portfolio and projects that you've done.
I'm looking at the way this person has done their projects, and what I really like is that they've told me what tools they've used for each of their projects. And I think that's really important. And I like that. And I like the way that this person has told me what the project is about. A lot of times I think it's really important when you're describing your projects is talk about the project and describe what don't just describe what you use to build it. Describe the functionality, describe the scope of the project that you are working on. What was it built to do? What problem does the project solve? If you've built an app, for example, an app is there designed to do something, to create an outcome. Why would someone use this app? What problem were they, or what are the outcome are they trying to achieve? So when describing your app, don't just describe it from a pure technical perspective, but describe what it does, how it does it, and the tools that you used as well.
Perfect.
That's my kind of advice on that. Yeah.
Yep. Let's jump to next one so that we have time, obviously, to go through majority of the resumes. So here's a bit of a different role here: IT support, technical support, IT support. So again, I do like that it's clear for me that the title is right here.
Yeah.
So I guess, so it's technical support. I mean, it seems right to the point. What would you improve, Johnathan?
There's a couple of things, quite a few things in this. I like the layout. I like the blue stripe at the top. They've got some nice different uses of fonts in there. That's good. But let's dive into the profile now. This profile has got quite a lot of cliches in it. Results-driven engineer, like everything you do or don't do still produces some sort of result. If you decided not to get out of bed and not to go to work that day, it would still produce some sort of result. Results-driven is one of what I call the fast food skills. So this person as I found, has used quite a lot of kind of jargon, that kind of cliche jargon in there. And I know they've used a lot of the like that inaccessible language that that a lot of people from overseas would typically use. If you read this aloud, would you go, do I usually sound like this when I talk? So committed to.
I mean, ChatGPT really good at writing those paragraphs.
It's not a demonstration of how well you speak the English language. It doesn't. I mean, that was a great technique 30 years ago, but now I just want to know about what are you all about? I want to know who you are. I want to know what you do. I want to know what value you can bring to my organization. I want to know where your capability. I want to know what drives you. Just sound like a human being. In other words, not trying to impress me with big words or cleverly constructed sentences, but still keep it professional. The next thing I need, if I dive underneath that, this is a critical area that could be done a lot better. Like you've told me, problem solving. Like I can solve problems too. If my shoelace is untied, I'll tie that up. That's solving a problem. If you're good at problem solving, tell me what problems you're really good at solving. These problem solving, time management, collaboration, communication, these are skills that you could use in working in a fast food restaurant. This is not something that you would talk about as an IT professional. So you want to go into the actual skills that allow you, if you're in technical support, IT support, talk about your support skills there. Now, they've got a little bit of technical skills in there, Python, SQL, and Java, which is good, but this is a missed opportunity for this particular CV. This is doing nothing to differentiate you from the competition. So I would go into some real depth, and 1 or 2 word skills doesn't really sell you. So, really create impact statements. Tell me what that skill is.
Yeah, and the problem is if it's an entry-level job for example, for the IT support function, unfortunately, it will be high volume of candidates, and majority of candidates' resumes will look exactly like this one.
That's right. That's exactly.
And how do you choose if you receive hundreds resumes like that? I mean, all the rules is good in this resume, you know, the layout, the everything, like it's done by the rules, but there is no, I guess there is nothing to catch the attention.
That's right. That's right. There's no value offer in here. There's nothing that differentiates this particular person. Let's have a look at this one with the associate technical support engineer, troubleshooting the B2B SaaS. So I need to know what NICE Limited is. Again, like what you said earlier on, or NICE Limited, like what is that company that you worked for? Tell us a little bit about it. You know, it gives context as we're talking about. Here we go, troubleshooting the B2B SaaS product. What is the B2B SaaS product? Talk about the product. I want to know what that product does. I want to know exactly what have you been supporting. Was it a small little big software, or is it large big enterprise software? What support were you offering? What complexities were you working with? You know, it reminds me, like, were you just telling people to turn their computer on and off again? You know, go into the details about what you were. I think that the key to a really good CV is to get into specific details. Paint the picture of the environment and what you actually did, I think is really important. Yeah.
James has a question on this note. If a recruiter is spending the least amount of time on the resume because they're busy, how much detail do you actually put?
Great question. So, do you want to answer that first, or do you want me to go ahead and answer that one?
Yeah, go ahead. You already dig into it. Yes.
Okay. So, a recruiter. This is how I used to read CVs. The first thing I would do is I would scan the front page, usually what I call that sweet spot, that first third of a page. The thing I'm looking for is, do you sound like the part? And I'm just looking for keywords. I'm looking, are you the right shape that I need you to be for this job? Are you using the right keywords? Are you using the right jargon? Have you used the words that I've used? Is there alignment? I'm looking for instant alignment in words. If I'm looking for a particular set of skills and you've mentioned those skills and it's in relation, then I will go back and do a proper read. That's where the detail comes in. The detail, I'm not looking for the detail in the first scan. In the first scan, I'm just looking for, do you sound the part? Are you using the right language? Yes, you are. Then I will go back and start diving into the details. If there's enough detail there to going, yes, you are nicely aligned to what I'm looking for, then I might do a third read, and then I might get in contact with you. So detail is good. You want to have a nice balance, but you don't want things to be too vague. Okay, I hope that helps. So detail is good for the second and third review. Yeah.
And also remember, it will be a hiring manager as well. So it depends on the recruitment process. But if it's a hiring manager will be, like, let's say, quite technical, interviewing you. So they want to see those details. Maybe recruiter don't go through all the details in the reading resume, and you need to highlight the things that, you know, catch the attention. But then when you shortlist it, and for example, hiring manager deciding between like 5 shortlisted resumes who to choose, they're gonna read the details and they're gonna ask, like, oh, but these people, like, person doesn't really mentioning anything about this particular problem or this particular project. So I think details is also important as you're going through the rounds of shortlisting as well.
I think it's better to have too much detail than too little detail. That then it becomes the choice. You're giving the person reading the CV a choice. It's here if you want to read it, as opposed to, I want to read it, but it's not there. I'm looking for more. That I think that's, and don't forget, the more detail you put, the more you're feeding the application tracking program search function. If you're vague and you put little bullet points, it doesn't trigger any. And often what will happen is those application tracking programs, depending on the software that they're using, will actually rank the relevance of your CV to the job description. And the more specific details you put in, the more it actually ranks and manages that as well. Those programs can be pretty clever in extrapolating relevant information. But a vague CV, doesn't really trigger so much of those key things that those application tracking programs are looking for.
Yeah, it almost feels like soon it will be AI writing resumes for AI to shortlist
I've seen it
resumes.
already. I have seen demonstrations of that software already. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, I don't know how long actually resumes will be around. Resumes been around for so long, and we're all thinking like, it's outdated, but we're still using resumes, so we kind of can't avoid it just yet. So maybe in the next 2 years it will be something different, but it feels like we can't really move on from that that format yet.
I agree. When LinkedIn came out, people said, "Oh, you're not going to need a resume or a CV anymore because LinkedIn's going to do all that for you." And to some degree, it does do that. It's like the digital version of your presence. But I still think the death of the CV is still way away. I believe it's not going to come anytime soon. I mean, the way we construct CVs using AI is definitely a great thing. On that note, be careful when using like the chat GPTs to create your CVs. Recruiters are wising up and they can see I can start to spot it and going, that sounds like an AI. The more you use an AI, the more you can see the style of an AI. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but I can see it and going, you used a chat GPT or a Claude on this one, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes, I guess that's what we feel a bit here on this paragraph.
That's right.
Okay, let's move on. So we have a few more resumes. Make sure that we go through them. So this one, so we're moving to data project manager resume. Again, my first impression is pretty good. I can clearly see what's happening. Maybe again, I would love to see the data project manager a bit higher. Your favorite result orientated.
There we go. Fast food skill right there again. Bang.
But it has the numbers and the actual examples here, and we do have project certification, everything. So looks like a good structure. So what sort of details will you change, Johnathan?
You know what? When I read this one earlier on, I quite like this one. And the reason is because of the quality of the information that they're providing, and they're backing themselves with some data and some figures. So when someone's reading the profile, what they want to know is, I want to get my head around you very, very quickly. I need to know your story, that I can know exactly where you fit within the grand scheme of what I'm recruiting for. This person has said, I like it. They're the project manager. They've got a master's in information. They've got 5 years of experience in leading data-driven projects. That is such a powerful opening statement. I really like that. I don't have to use my imagination to figure out what this person is all about. That was really, really strong. And then they go into stakeholder management, agile, all those keywords. That's great. Demonstrated a success in driving project efficiencies. Awesome. They're talking about where they've had success. Recognized for improving project delivery time. This person is talking about the value that they can bring to an organization, where they've had wins. In other words, I liked this one. I did like the way this person was branding. The only thing that I would do here is, instead of doing the professional experience, if you scroll down to the bottom of the CV, if you keep going to the next page, keep going. There we go. Can you see where it says skills and interests? I would separate that out. Interests, put at the bottom. The next thing, I would go take those skills and put them at the top. Now, be careful. So many times for high-level roles, people are still leading with Microsoft Office as their top skill. I've seen people who have got these amazing software development backgrounds. Hey, man, at the end of the day, I can drive MS Word just like it was 1997. It's like you may as well tell me again, that you can chew your food. Everybody can do Microsoft Office right now. But the cool thing about this one is that he's got some other cool stuff in there as well. He's got G Suite. I like he's got Tableau, so I know he's got a bit of data visualization, some other good skills in there as well. Bring those skills right up to the front. Bring them right up to the front and to the top of the CV. Just on the topic of interests, this person has used kind of cliched interests. This is talking about your interests is a great opportunity for getting people to know you. So if you've tried traveling, Do you like traveling down to the shops and back? No. Tell me where you like to travel. What countries have you visited? What landmarks have you seen? If you like working out, that's fine. If you like swimming, great. Cooking, tell me what you like to cook. Who inspires you? What cuisines do you like? Gaming, tell me what games you like. Give me. This is an opportunity for people to get to know you better. Otherwise, just leave it out. If you're just going to use one-word answers for your interests, it doesn't do anything. But this is a really good area to tell me. Like, if you enjoy movies, tell me what movies you like. If you enjoy reading, what topics do you like to read about? If you enjoy cooking, tell me what you like to cook. Give me an opportunity to get to know you. All right, let's scroll back up.
Or even if it's like a personal project, like, I totally agree. Like, this sentence basically doesn't give us anything about the person.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, some people might have a YouTube channel about cooking. You know, like, there's so many people with like interesting hobbies. Like, if you have an interesting hobby, put it in your interest. That it showcase your personality. But if you want to just list that you like, I don't know, photography and sleeping, like, that's my favorite hobby, sleeping, which is great. I can do it 10 hours a day. So that kind of just doesn't, so basically just doesn't really provide any value for the hiring manager. But if you put your like a cooking channel here, or like I don't know, like Instagram account where you put your smash avocado every Sunday, it might be not related to the job, but you might catch attention.
I love that. I love that. I love that. By the way, if I look at this person's skills, soft skills, project management, I don't think that's so much of a soft skill. I mean, that's a pretty hardcore skill. Stakeholder management, like here's where this person I think is undercapitalized on their skills. Project management is massive. All right. Talk about, okay, underneath it, you've got PMI, which is good. Okay, you've talked about that. You've got the PMI certification. But if you're going to talk about project management, what aspects of project management have you got? Is it end to end? Is it building teams, managing teams? Is it using, what methodologies? Project management method, stakeholder management, like what kind of stakeholders are you typically used to managing? For example, is it client side, internal, external? Risk assessment, what risks do you assess? Change management is massive. To go into some detail. In fact, each one of these things that you've listed can be a whole skill by itself that you can write about.
I need to be here after the profile, the skills, and a bit of a description of every skill that you mentioned. And just keeping that, as you said, interest at the end with a little a little more details. Okay, so let's move on so that we have a chance to review at least 2 more resumes and maybe answer last question from the audience as well. So here's a Scrum Master resume now. So we have the career profile, key strengths. I mean, if I would, again, I'm just keep repeating myself. I'm just surprised people just not doing it every time. I just want to see the Scrum Master right here, Scrum Master or Project Manager, or exactly the title, nice and clear in the beginning when I'm opening the resume. To be honest, I'm a bit confused with the numbers. Like, before reading it properly, I'm like, oh, that's 1. And then key activities, but then a 2. So that's a bit confused me here. But then it's 3. And then we go, and then we go to kind of just listing. I probably would get rid of numbers and do that sort of highlight, maybe just do highlight instead and make this Australia, trust me, like different color or something instead of using numbers, I think. Just to make it easier to read a little bit. But again, subjective. Johnathan, what do you think?
Can you scroll up to the top, please? Okay, this person, I was looking at that. The first thing I want to do, if you've got a LinkedIn profile, definitely put your LinkedIn profile in there. You don't have to put your full address in. People used to put their full details of their address when we used to send out contracts via snail mail. Now everything's done electronically. So this person could just put in Westmead. Okay, career profile. Yeah, that was pretty good. They've told me who they are. They've told me what they've done. They've told me a little bit of the environments they've worked in, 15 years experience across those different industries. That's really good. Key strengths. Now, this person, it was interesting, and I think this person is actually on the call tonight, Harris. I saw your name come up earlier on. So welcome. Great that you're here to have your CV reviewed. Key strengths is listed there, but then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that CV again, to the last page, if I'm going there, keep going. Okay, there we go. Skills and methodologies. You've gone back to your skills again. So I would bring those two sections together, okay, and move it up to the top. Okay, so merge those two sections together, because you're basically saying, here's my skills, and then you've gone through your CV and go, oh, by the way, here's more of my skills. Can you see? By putting it at the bottom, put them up at the top there, merge those two sections together. Definitely, it's a bit confusing about those numbers. One, I don't know what those numbers actually mean. I lead and facilitate various enterprise change delivery initiatives across arts investment divisions. Scroll down a little bit there. Role Scrum Master, that's good. Major achievements. I'm struggling to understand what the major achievement actually is there. Investments data, like what is the actual achievement? An achievement is something, a great way to talk about an achievement is to find something that was wrong, something that wasn't working, then tell me what you did to fix it, and then tell me what impact that had on the organization. So, people were taking too long to do data entry. I automated these particular functions. Now it took them 30 seconds instead of 3 days to do this. So find something that had an impact on the organization. How did you make them better? Because in your achievements is where you're demonstrating your value. Because you want people reading that achievement to go, wow, if they can do that for that organization, I'd love them to be able to do that for mine. You see? So if you're going to go into achievements, and I highly recommend you do achievements, make it clear what did that actually achieve? Not a personal achievement, by the way, achievement that had an impact on the company. All right. So if I look at that achievement, I don't know what the achievement actually is. It's just kind of like words. Don't list responsibilities. I know it sounds weird, but I don't really care what you were responsible for. I want to know what you actually did. Because you could be responsible for so many things, but that doesn't tell me what you actually did. Instead, reword that to make it active. Like, as a Scrum Master, I do these things, or a typical day looks like this, or these are my key activities. So instead of saying responsibilities, tell me what you actually did more than anything else. Keep going. Role, senior business analyst, major achievement. Again, there is that key activity. There we go. There they've done it. Yeah. So for this one, then you want to have consistency, because right now you said responsibilities, and now you've got key activities. Key activities included. That's good. Yeah.
Yep. So maybe rename all of this to key activities instead of saying responsibility. Okay.
There we go. Yeah. But I mean, on the whole, this is a pretty good CV. I also like what this person did here. Scroll a little bit upwards. They've actually summarized previous stuff. And I think that's a good idea to do that as well. You don't have to go into the deep details of all of your roles. So maybe the last, say, 10 years is a really good way where you focus a lot of that attention, but then continuity, you can shorten that into like a bullet form like this, which is good.
Yeah. But I guess if your previous experience not related to your role you're applying for, probably maybe easier just to put previous experience available on request.
You got it. Got it. That's what I recommend.
But if your previous roles if you had more linear career, that's probably worth mentioning, that people see that you've been doing similar thing for years. But maybe if you jump around a bit, maybe you want to just list the ones that relevant to the position you're applying for, and mention that the previous experience available on request. Here we go. We have quite a few questions there, Johnathan. We have one more resume, but quite a few questions. Maybe we'll just quickly answer a few questions here. Rugmaran saying, I have over 15 years of experience in the software industry. Is it better to organize my experience by company or project? Also, is it okay to include a brief summary on each company?
Okay, I would go chronologically and talk about company. There's two ways you can talk about your experience in each of your roles. You can either talk about it as a whole, or you can talk about it and call it key projects or key projects of note. So you can talk about it as a project based or as a overall sort of thing. I kind of prefer project based. So if you say the company and then maybe talk about 2 or 3 projects that you worked on, that shows me that gives me context and scope of the type of environment that you've worked in. If you're going to talk about a project under a company, give me details. What was the nature of the project? What was the scope of the project? What was the reason for the project, and what was the outcome for the project as well? Then take me through that journey of what was involved in that project. Also, is it okay to include a brief summary of each company? That's what we've been talking about earlier on. Absolutely, yeah. If it's a company that everybody knows, then don't worry about it. But if it's a company that no one's heard of, even if you live in Australia or you're from overseas, just 1 or 2 sentences. And usually you can get that phrasing already from their website and their about section. Yeah. All right. Oh, you're on mute. There we go.
And we have a little bit discussion here in the comments from the point that you mentioned before about getting to know you through the resume. So James is saying, what purpose does the interview hold if you are telling your life story and personal interest in details to a hiring manager who just read the 200 other versions of the same thing? The getting to know you part of the recruitment process makes more sense in the face-to-face interview. And Kevin saying, I completely agree, James. Resume have limited space. I wouldn't want to be wasting in getting to know you stuff. So how would you balance it, Johnathan?
This is a really interesting one. Yes, you do have limited space, but don't forget, at the end of the day, when you're looking for a job, you are essentially in sales and marketing mode. You are selling you, and your CV is like your sales brochure. I think one of the things that why most people's CVs get rejected is because they haven't made a compelling value offer. They talk about who am I? This is all about me, but they haven't translated in what that actually means for an organization. Now, this takes some branding thinking and some persuasive language in there as well. But people don't care about you as much as they care about what you can do for them. And I think a really good branding message right at the front puts your audience at the center of the message and then wraps your brand around that. What can you do for my company? What can you help me achieve? What problems can you help me overcome if I basically hire you? Now, you can put 2 paragraphs here. I find that worked kind of well. 4 to 5 lines each. Maybe in the first paragraph, hit them hard. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how long I've been doing it. This is my areas of experience and expertise, or where my greatest achievements lie. And more importantly, this is what I can do. Maybe you can talk about your background in the second paragraph. Hey, I started off my career as this, but I found that I was more drawn to this. And so I entered this particular world. And now I've been doing all of these kind of things as well. Yes, you do have limited space, but I find, and this is my own personal preference, this is a good opportunity to start acting like a human instead of just bullet points on a page. Do something different. That is how you get noticed. And don't be afraid to take chances. Sometimes, people who do something, and I don't mean being stupid and radical out there and all that sort of stuff, but, have a bit of fun with it every now and then as well. You can imagine that as recruiters, we read so many CVs that just blend into one at the end of the day. When I used to come home from reading hundreds of CVs, I couldn't tell you one from the other, but I could tell you the ones that did something a little bit different. They worded it different. They were a little bit of personality coming through. And I'm going, oh, you're interesting. I want to know about you. So hopefully that helps, James.
Yeah, so kind of, giving something different, giving something to that getting to know you bit is just providing maybe some unique detail about you that make it different from another 200 resumes, I guess. But again, it could be subjective. Some hiring managers will not read it, but some will read it and say like, oh, that's great. That's exactly, what I'm looking for. So again, it could be really subjective, but to the Johnathan point, you need to try it. You need to stand out. You need to find a way to stand out. If the writing 2 paragraph, it's not the way for you to stand out, find a different way. Think about what else you can include that make you unique. I just want to quickly, before we run out of time, just we have a last resume. If we can give a quick feedback here.
Okay.
Before we run out of time. So what we hear again, I'm just keep saying the same thing. I want a title here. We have work history, a bit of a color, projects, education. I feel feels a little bit cramped. Feels a little bit hard to read just because all these like responsibilities, achievement all together just feels like would be nice to have a little bit of spacing. I know, again, it's that balance about how many pages of resume do you need and how much spacing you want. But I just would love simply a little bit more spacing just to for readability. Johnathan.
I totally agree. You're making my brain work hard to be able to take all these bullet points and digest it. Break it up, put a few paragraphs in there, instead of writing, because you've got so many bullet points in there. I mean, yes, you're probably communicating all the right information. That's excellent. But this is your brand. And you're trying to distill yourself down to bullet points, which doesn't really make you sound kind of human. Just be a person, write like you talk. This person here has kind of sandwiched everything together under a profile, separate it out, write about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What is your background? All of those kind of key things there. Then go into your skills section. That's what I would do for that particular
work history title. I'm a bit, maybe it's better to say professional experience.
Look,
you have no objection.
I don't really have a problem with that because I know work history, professional experience. It's just wording, but we all know what it means. I wouldn't get too. Then I like the fact that at least this person has bullet pointed that they've highlighted some achievements with some bold in that. They've got a nice blue heading that separates things out there again. They've talked about their achievements. I just have to work hard to read the CV. That's the only thing. So this is more of a layout thing more than anything else. I always
say the content is really good itself. It just work a little bit on the layout.
Don't try. There is no hard and fast rule about how long your CV needs to be. Okay. One thing though, let me just clear something up. In Australia, we tend to use the curriculum vitae format, CV format, which is usually a multi-page document like this. In the and we call that a curriculum vitae. In the United States, for example, they use the resume format, which is a 1-page document. But in Australia, we do interchange those 2 words around. So when we say send me your resume, they're really saying send me your multi-page CV. So just clearing if there's any confusion between a CV and a resume, there is. CV is a multi-page document. A resume is a 1-page snapshot. But we don't tend to use resumes so much. Although we call them resumes, we tend to use multi-page documents in Australia.
Yep, definitely. And I think also here, you see how it says like Bank of America, India, for example, and it says India. If you start putting the countries here, maybe with your last role as well, mention is here as well, so that it's clear if you're in Australia right now.
Yeah.
So it's not confusing that like your previous role, like India, then Australia here, or like Sydney, Melbourne, it's all is mentioned. Because obviously you have Melbourne here, but I definitely would just mention it. Not a big thing, but just for consistency and to make sure that people understand that you're here. And or something else I want to mention, but I forgot. But I think we're running out of time anyway. So it was a few more resumes that I received yesterday, guys. This resume hasn't been included in the session because I've already received, enough resumes. But I think it's only 2 or 3 that hasn't been included. But guys, don't worry. So if you're one of these people whose resume hasn't been included in this session because you just sent it too late, we have another session on the 19th of June. So you can put it in your calendar. We're going to do another session with Ben. So it will be in 5 weeks. And if it was a question in the comments as well, how do I send the resume? Manisha, I think, sending. You need to go into the my meetup group, register for event, and it's my email address there. And you just send your resume on this email address in the event. So this is the meetup group, IT Career in Australia. Register for the event and send your resume to my email address. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope the information was useful. Feel free to ask some questions. And also, Johnathan, what's the best way to connect with you and how can people, ask for more help?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so for tonight, I'm offering a 45-minute complimentary career coaching session. You can go to my website, Yannick, if you want to put my website details into, there you go, johnmaltby.com.au. Jump on my website, go to my contacts page, send me a message. There's also a calendar in there. You can book a free complimentary 45-minute session if you want to discuss any aspect of your career, if you need some clarity, if you need some direction, if you've got any problems that you need to navigate, please get in contact with me. I love talking to people. So don't be a stranger.
I have some problems with, I think, LinkedIn comments today. They're not coming through, but I'll make sure I'll put it on LinkedIn as well. Guys, if you ask some questions on LinkedIn and we didn't answer those, it's probably just because it didn't go through on LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn Live could be funny sometimes. But if you have any questions, obviously, please make sure to still put in the comments and we'll try to answer them offline as well. Kevin saying, thank you for sharing your insight. Thank you, Kevin, for joining and joining us tonight. Obviously, as usual, subscribe to this channel, share this video with people who need to hear this, especially those who are looking for jobs, because I'm definitely think they will find some useful information in our today's discussion. And if you're obviously eager to get your resume reviewed, make sure to register for 19th of June. And just quickly, next week is 15th of May, and next week topic is front end versus back end versus full stack, navigating your career path. So especially if you starting out developer and maybe you're not sure, where to focus on, that will be a great discussion next week to understand what sort of career options you have there. Thank you, James, and great session tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Johnathan, and I'll see everyone next week.
Thanks very much, everybody.
See you.